Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. Make you want to holler, hidey-ho. Burns your tummy, don't you know? Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug.
All right, this is SFBarkast. I am Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Lauder.
And Andrew, where are we today?
We are at Casanova on Valencia. And
Casanova.
16th.
You hardly ever hear people being called a Casanova anymore. That's like a Lothario.
Yeah, not since who was wasn't there like an '80s rapper that that had a song called Casanova or something? But it was it's the kind of rap that I never listened to. That sort of
wasn't the bad guy in Mystery Men like Casanova Frankenstein?
is that for real?
Yes, it was.
Oh shit!
And it was played by Jeffrey Rush.
Excellent.
Believe
Good for
me.
you. Academy Award winner Jeffrey Rush.
It's funny, like for some reason I was thinking about Mystery Men the other day because it's a superhero film, and all these superheroes have like weird powers.
Right, mostly repulsive.
Yeah, like this one guy can shovel really hard. It's got an amazing cast.
Yeah.
But like I was watching the football games, like the Denver Broncos game, and that dude, Noshawn Marino, has the weirdest superpower in the world. That like he can cry like an amazing amount of tears, just without before games he cries, right? And he just like thinks about stuff, and he doesn't like when I cry, it's like you can tell I'm upset.
Right.
This guy just seems like I'm by the way, I'm crying. Like he's not. His face,
Don't mind me. This isn't about you.
His face isn't contorted or anything, and then he
Right.
has these two fucking rivers like coming out of his eyes, and it's just like it's amazing. I mean,
Wow.
Whatever.
This is I think I missed the Noshawn Marino cry session.
I'll post it.
Excellent. Yeah, please do. But the Casanova's on near 16th on Valencia.
Between 16th and 17th on Valencia.
Classic old stalwart, I would say. I mean,
it really hasn't changed that much. I think
really
the
hasn't.
only time I remember it changed, they used to have a really great jukebox here, way back in the day.
Yeah.
But then they went to having like a DJ booth over here. But and we'll talk about this more, but like it's not really a DJ booth. It's just like a little station. Sometimes people think like, if you're a 10-15 Folsom, the DJs are hovering above you in a spaceship.
Right.
Like, no, this is just the end of the bar. That's where you can play some vinyl.
Like a lectern than a DJ booth.
Right. And I would say the predominant element or like the predominant like factor of this place, a distinguishing factor, is they have these beautiful like black velvet portraits that are framed, and it's just like this bar, like when you walk into this bar, it's really dark.
Yeah.
And I feel like these black velvet portraits like kind of play into that because it looks like all these like naked women and Johnny Cash are kind of coming out of the darkness.
Right. Well, I think that this place suffers from not having like a double entry or something like that, where like the doors just literally like open onto the street.
Yeah.
And so like when you walk by, you look in this place and you're like, holy shit, that looks like someone's closet, or like it just looks like this dark pit. And but it's like once you get inside and your eyes adjust, it's totally cool.
Absolutely. I feel like going here during the day is kind of like you don't really want to come here during the day because it's like it's so light outside, and then you get in here and it's really dark. And you kind of feel like, wait, why am I in this cave? I should be outside.
You're like, why am I doing heroin? Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Why am I in the bathroom again? But at night, this place is great. This is although it's starting to fill up now.
They definitely it's been a little while since I've been here, and I sort of remember maybe a couple of booths and some table chairs, and then there's almost like a stage, like with like a chair and a couple tables.
Yeah, they used to have a DJ when they had like specific DJs.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, they would set up there. Yeah,
and they would like move everything. Like they used to have a pool table here. They got rid of that.
Right.
But they would move all the chairs to the side, and it would be like a dance floor. And it actually does look like a dance floor if you look at it.
Yeah, totally.
But now it's more like what it's called, a lounge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's they brought in like couches and those sort of like bar tables surrounded by stools, and it's a much more casual atmosphere than it used to be, than I remember it being. But it's still they kept a lot of the same sort of feel to it.
Yeah, I've had some good times here.
Oh, totally, yeah.
It's weird. I have some friends who hate it here though, and I think it's just because of the darkness.
Yeah.
But like if it's at night, it doesn't matter. The darkness doesn't matter.
This was actually I'd like to say that I remembered it on my own, but my wife sent me a text saying that this was the first place that I think I like kissed her or something. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sealed the deal,
I'm going in.
So I got to take her to a place with naked ladies on black velvet if I'm gonna close this deal.
So this kind of shit turn you on?
Right. Hey, look at that girl's jugs.
Hey, have you had enough to drink, or do I have to get you another one?
So, you ready yet?
Well, hey, man, it's been a
Romantic.
while since we've done a Barcast.
It is, yeah.
I
mean,
apologize to all of our fans.
Totally, I'd love to throw together like some sort of great tribute that we had to do to Martin Luther King or something like that, but we were just lazy idiots, so screw it.
Well, I think also I have this story that like I lost my phone like 2 weeks ago, and like when you lose your phone, you're like, it's like losing a limb, and suddenly you don't have instant access to that sort of world. Right. That like whatever.
Apologies to anybody who's actually lost a limb. It's like now going like, yeah, fuck you and your phone.
Exactly. No. You may have lost both your legs fighting for our country. But I lost 2 phones last year.
Exactly.
So I know exactly what's going on.
I forgot to back it up for the last couple months, and so who knows? There's people I may have met that I no longer have their number.
Can you imagine that?
Like try to process that when you're trying to process your legs.
Exactly. Sure. Like, yeah, but your legs didn't have Scott Ackerman's phone number in it, did it? Did they? I mean, maybe they did.
Right.
Anyway, so I lost my phone. I was out at the right spot, having a great time.
Right.
Like, dancing and like, at the right spot late at night, we turn on the 70s soft rock and then we dance. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a cult, I'm sure.
Well, just the way that you said it as we, like, and then we turn on the soft rock and then we dance.
Well, you know what? Initially, it's just 2 people, me and my friend Mike.
Right.
But I feel like we sell it, or Mike really sells it hard. So, and then next thing you know, all these girls are like, oh, yeah, I want to dance too. So they jump up too, and we get a little dance party going. So I was having such a really good time. And then when I went to leave, I realized I was walking out to the cab, and I was just, you do that check.
Yeah.
Where's my phone? Oh, no. I must have left it in the bar. I went back to the bar to get it, and it was gone. It was nowhere to be found.
Weak.
Totally weak. And it's the second phone I've lost in like a year. And I know it's not fair because I feel like I'm being, punished for being a drunk idiot.
I've done nothing except impair my memory.
Right,
and
exactly.
This is the things I get.
What kind of world do we live in where like a drunk asshole can't keep track of all of his shit?
Right.
So then I was like, I felt bad about it for a day, and but then I decided to turn it like anything. I turned it into some stupid social experiment where I've been dragging my feet about getting a phone because I want to know what it's like to not have a phone.
Right.
And it's actually there's a lot of difference. Like you and I are older, and we remember 1994, 1995, and nobody had a phone. And I honestly feel like it made me more social. Because I feel like if you go to a bar, first off, like you'll be on your phone and you're waiting for somebody, or you'll text a bunch of people, hey, what's going on? Anybody want to do anything tonight?
Right.
And then if nobody hits you back, you're like, well, I guess I'm staying in. Whereas like if you don't have a phone, you do this thing that we used to do in 1995, be like, I'm just going to go out and see who's out.
Oh, wow.
And you just kind of like go and like, oh. And
it's funny, like that seemed like a total blast from the past. Like you just like said, hey, remember like Monchi-Cheese or like Cabbage Patch Kids?
And you're like, oh yeah, I remember doing that. Yeah, remember when like 9 Inch Nails were still cool? Yeah, it's like
and
that.
Social interaction wasn't done like through your phone?
Well, also, I feel like it does make me more social because I'll go to a bar and inevitably I will end up talking to somebody, whereas like I realize that like if you're at a bar and you're alone, it's so easy to go into the phone cave. Where you get out your smartphone and you're like, well, let me see how the Celtics did here.
Yeah,
and like,
totally, yeah.
And like shit that like is all gonna be there when you get home, you know. And so I would actually suggest it to people, like try living like, I'm going 2 weeks. I'll probably get a phone this week.
Right.
Try living like a couple weeks or a month. I mean, people try not to drink for a month.
Right.
People try not to, like, you know, they try to exercise for a month. Like, you try not to live with a phone for a month. I mean, it's hard if you have a job and people need to, like, contact you. Like, if you're a fucking doctor, like, yeah, probably not. But if you're, like, an unemployed guy like me, you realize, oh, no, I can just kind of do what I want. And, like, yeah, it's a black hole of attention sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, like,
oh, go ahead.
I was at the Doc's Clock, and I was talking to the bartender over there, and he told me he had been bartending for a long time. He said that the bartending game has totally changed because, like, back in the day, you used to have to
talk to people.
Yeah, you used to have to be personable.
Right.
And, like, you used to have to, like, people would go to the bar and, like, tell the bartender their problems and shit. And, like, now, like, bartenders don't ever have to talk to people because people are always on their phone. He said that. And he said it sucks because he said he kind of liked the other way, where it's like, yeah, you want to be a personable bartender. Like, I was at the 500 Club, and I saw, I'm not going to say her name, Rachel, and but she's a bartender there, and sometimes she can be totally surly.
Yeah.
And she goes over and she helps this big crowd of people, big crowd of young people who are all ordering drinks. She comes back and looks at me, and she shakes her head. She goes, "I fucking hate people." And I was like, well, you're in the right profession, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she gets mad at me. But it's like, look, we've all known surly bartenders. Like, remember Jerry at the 500 Club?
Yeah.
He was a surly motherfucker. He always wanted to engage. But you know what? You could tell he liked it. He liked dealing with all that shit. Like, you know.
The other one that used to bartend at the 500 Club, he was kind of like he looked like the lost, like, Kennedy or something like that. Like, he had like curly hair, middle-aged guy. Yeah.
He was always on speed, by the way.
Always on speed, and that guy was like surly but without a heart. Where he's just like, he's like, oh, everyone go fuck yourself. I'm gonna go have a heart attack in the corner.
Well, it's like, I wonder, like, if you were applying to be a bartender, like in the 70s or the 80s, you would have to go to like bartending school or something like that. You have to know your shit. But I wonder, like, did you have to like pass a test of, do people like you? Yeah, because we can't have like we can't have like bartenders like over at Zeitgeist where everybody hates them.
Of course, the entire San Francisco bar community probably disagrees. They're like, we built our whole business on like having shit that people hate.
Well, I mean, sometimes that comes into play, like with Bruno over at Zam Zam's.
Yeah.
Suddenly he got a reputation for throwing people out because he was this cantankerous old man.
Right.
And then people were suddenly going to the bar to get kicked out. It's like, it's in like the fucking guidebook.
Right.
But I will say, like, not having a phone like makes me much more like independent.
Right.
And much less, strangely, like much less anxious. Because like sometimes if you have a phone, you're kind of sitting there, you're just like, what should I do? What should I do? Right. It's very like meditative, where it's like if you're sitting at a bar alone and like nobody's talking to you, you can just sit back and think about stuff.
What?
And I know a lot of people. Yeah, I know a lot of people are just like, no. I need a.
You mean think about the last time you had the internet and something you saw on that?
I need to put like a mental pacifier into my head so I don't freak out every moment of the day.
Exactly.
But yeah, definitely more social, more anxious, more independent.
Well, fucking Grizzly Adams, you are, I guess. Like, you're off the grid.
Yeah, well, guess what? Yeah, I'm off the grid, right? Yeah, it's not like I'm Ted Kaczynski living in a fucking shed in Montana.
Well, it's interesting. Like, and this is like only semi-related, but like I watched this documentary on Google Books and like Google's sort of master plan to basically corner the market on the world's knowledge, because they basically, like, years and years ago, like in the early 2000s, they started just going into every library in the world, like Harvard Library and like libraries in Spain, stuff like that, and saying, hey, if you're gonna like digitize all your books, like we could do that for you for free instead, and they're all like, well, yeah, I mean, like, of course.
It's like if a fox comes in and says, "Hey, do you want me to feed you chickens?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the whole thing, like, now it's like in this big like impasse because like all of this, Google accumulated all of this data and a lot of it falls outside of the realm of copyright, and so Google just owns it all of a sudden because they were willing to take a picture of it. So like
Wow.
they struck this like master deal or whatever like that, where they get like all of the world's non-copyrighted literature to sell or do whatever they want with, and and a couple other people split like this tiny fraction of 1%.
Is that you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's right.
I'm like,
You're playing footsie with me over there.
I know. I was like, what is this? I'm like, you're telling me this really interesting story, and I'm like, my foot's like checking out what's underneath the like a table.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, dude.
Yeah, so it's all crazy, man. It's all crazy, and we should just shoot ourselves in the face.
we don't worry, the whole world's gonna go to shit anyway.
Exactly. All right, well, should we take our first break?
Yeah, let's take a break, and we will be back at the Casanova Lounge. Casanova Lounge in the Mission.
Hello.
The Mission.
Back indeed. Good stuff. You know what? Let's try to get this out of the way as quickly as we can before the entirety of time converges in on itself.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, Stephen Hawking.
The singularity, man. Like I'm talking about when virtual reality and actual reality become indistinguishable from each other.
So what is it you want to bring up?
Oh, sports.
Oh, okay, we'll bring up sports. Although I want to do one joke before sports.
Okay,
it has to do with my not having a phone.
Okay.
If anyone out there is a female friend of mine, or I was going to say an attractive female friend of mine, but like any female friend of mine, all you have to do is when I get a phone again, like send me an email or call me and say, hey, how come you were ignoring me? I called you. I texted you like 20 times to come over for sex.
So this is an ideal time for that joke.
This is the ideal time for that. This joke is only going to present itself every time I lose a phone. So,
well, of course, like the educated and wily female will realize that you're just doing this to attempt to trick her into texting you when you get your phone this weekend.
Right.
Her texting you, hey, come on over for sex, and then you're coming on over for sex.
Right. Exactly. Oh man, that was an old offer.
She's like, I'm a Barkast listener. And you're like, that doesn't matter.
She's gonna be like, I'm sorry, that coupon expired.
Coupons.
Sex coupon.
But hey, it's a real bummer of a sports week for the entire city of San Francisco, but not for me.
Not for you. I was saying to a friend of the show, Kevin Montgomery, that I honestly feel like 2014 has gotten off to a monster dick-sucking start, but not for you. I mean,
well, yeah.
I mean, for me, 2014, I had the flu. It was really bad, and then I lost my phone, and then the Patriots lost. I mean, you're on the other side of it because you're one of the two people I know who are Seattle Seahawks fans.
Wasn't it just last segment though that you were trying to sell you losing your phone as a good thing?
Well, I mean, I
don't want to dredge up the past.
Don't live in the past, Andrew.
10 minutes ago.
It ultimately became an eye-opening thing, but it's never a good thing. It's not like I'm not going to go around.
I think you're going to go. You're going to look back on you losing your phone and be like, if I never lost that phone, I wouldn't have spent that year in art school.
It's possible. I mean, it's within the realm of possibility. I'm definitely not going to go out and start sermonizing about the evils of cell phones or the communication age or anything like that. I'm not going to make a video of some hot girl who gives up her cell phone and watches the fucking sunset. Although that would be nice.
Sure it would.
But yeah, I'm just trying to explore life without it.
You know, the problem with creating like a group of people against like cell phones is organization. Like, how do you
exactly.
Like you could just text all those people, but then you're sort of like,
send me a smoke
traitor
signal.
to your cause.
Yeah. So let's get down to it. You're one of two friends of mine that I know who are Seattle Seahawks fans, and
Who's
everybody's
the other?
My friend Eden's old roommate Jacob. You met him
okay.
at the Kilowatt once.
Okay.
Remember, like I introduced you to him. He's like this. He looked like this lonely guy over off in the corner watching the Seattle game, and like nobody talking to him. And I was like, that guy's a Seattle Seahawks fan.
I know, because usually, like, if you're outside of your city of choice, or city that you root for or whatever, people will try to like hook you up like it's a blind date.
You'll like this guy.
It's like, it's like, hey, I know a guy who likes the same Dominican baseball player that you do. Like, you guys are going to be, the best friends in the whole world.
You like Seattle football. He likes Seattle football.
He likes the colors blue and green and Native American
You like the
bird
colors
symbols.
blue and green. He's a gay man.
Like I do go back and forth on whether the Seattle Seahawks uniforms are god awful or not too bad.
Okay, well, let me tell you. When I was a kid, and like, this is my my 13, 14-year-old self. I
thought you were going to say your shameful secret.
This is a shameful secret. When I was a kid, I loved the Seattle. What are they? Seahawks.
Yeah. I love the
So
Seattle Giants.
I like the Seattle Supersonics too, as well. But I love them because of their helmets. They have the coolest helmets like that. They had that sort of Pacific Northwest sort of totem pole.
Well, and that was sort of like back. I mean, so like the Seahawks came about in like '76, and at that time you've pretty much. It's before the age of like crazy bullshit like uniforms
the
and
age
design.
Of crazy bullshit.
Like where like you basically got like teams with like solid colors. About as creative as you're going to get is like the big giant D with a horse coming through it for like the Broncos,
right.
Or actually like the Cincinnati Bengals were like the first team I think that ever like did something really creative with their uniforms, where it's like they look like a goddamn tiger. It's like,
right, when they put the little snakes on their helmet.
I mean, like their helmet used to literally be orange and with the word Bengals on it.
If anyone out there works for either of the Ohio football teams,
right.
Get your shit together.
But
can you imagine Bengals have done it, but like the Browns. Ooh.
Yeah, they've always been of the opinion that helmets, logos. Not a thing we're interested in.
That's a fad.
Exactly. It's like they're going to come crawling back to our orange helmet. Like once they're exhausted their stupid Seahawk birds.
Our helmets are going to be one monochrome color. And what's the name of the team going to be? Oh, it's going to be Browns.
It's a different color.
Right.
What? You guys are idiots.
Well,
sober up for 1 second before we make all these decisions final.
Yeah,
but no, so like the Seahawks, like back in the 70s when they first came out, their uniforms were sort of like very different and like, but not like in a comic book internet kind of way where it's like crazy like thrashing bird. It's like this it's this total Native American Pacific Island Native American thing. Oh my God!
This is the kind of people you hang out with when you go to the Casanova. You meet. Like,
who are you talking to? Are you on the phone?
Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Norris.
Ladies and gentlemen, Swan, the guy who feeds the pigeons.
Are you like the pilot and the co-pilot?
You look so much better without your beard, Swan.
I can be the navigator.
Why don't you sit down and shut up for half a second, okay?
Because you got important things to talk about here.
We're talking about...
Jesus, if you only knew.
Matters.
We're talking about football.
I'd like to press some matter. Okay, I'll shut up.
We'll have to,
all right, Einstein.
Well, in editing, when he says, "I like to press some matter," we'll have to put in that like boing sound.
Slide whistle.
I'm going to use the loo.
Okay.
Lou, watch your mouth.
He's so French.
Jesus Christ! Call it the shitter like everyone else.
All right, so let's get back to football.
Oh yes, thank you.
So
let's get back to the important thing about football, and that's whether or not the uniforms are nice or not.
All right, we're over that. Okay, I like the uniforms. Some people don't like the uniforms.
I think that their newer uniforms are definitely like somebody on Twitter said that it looked like the Seahawks play for the internet. Like it's just this, it's like
what a burn.
a video, but they are like they're video game uniforms. They're like these crazy
whatever. I mean,
but
they're right up the road from Oregon. Oregon football, and those guys change their uniforms every single
those
week.
guys have that stupid metal grate finish on their helmets and all that. They're ridiculous.
Let's forget about the fashion of football, and let's talk about the day of the conference championships. When I woke up,
right,
I was like, you know what? The Niners are probably my second favorite team. They are my second favorite team. And the Patriots are my favorite team. So I was like, I really want the Patriots to go. But if the Niners win, I don't know, there'll be a conflict of interest. Of course, I'll have to root for the Patriots. But I was like, if the Niners or the Patriots win, I'll have a horse in this race.
Right.
And I was kind of like, as long as it's not Seattle and the Broncos.
Right.
So now it's Seattle and the Broncos. And everybody in San Francisco is like, fuck Seattle.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm going with Seattle. I know you're going with Seattle because you're from there. But
the crazy thing about this game too is because the Seahawks used to be in the AFC and they used to be in the AFC West with the Broncos.
Right.
So there were these huge rivalries when I grew up.
Yeah.
Of games between the Seahawks and Raiders and Seahawks and Broncos.
Remember,
and, those were the big fucking games of the year.
Remember the Orange Crush? The lineman for the Broncos.
And so this is crazy that as a child I never would have thought that a Super Bowl between the Broncos and Seahawks would ever be possible.
Right.
So now it's it's a weird thing, but at the same time it's 30 years after anybody gave a fuck about that rivalry.
Right. If you went back in time and told your teenage self, someday the Broncos and the Seahawks are going to play in the Super Bowl,
right,
your little mind would have fucking blown up. In the same way, you know who's playing the Super Bowl halftime show? I guess the main guy is Bruno Mars.
Well, yeah.
Because we all like to watch small people dance.
Exactly.
But who else is performing is the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, if you were to go back in time...
Safe choice, Super Bowl.
Yeah. If you went back in time to the Shamrock Punk Club in Hollywood...
Right.
And said to the Red Hot Chili Peppers when it's starting out, someday you're going to play the Super Bowl, they'd be like, fuck you, yuppie. Get out of here.
Totally, yeah. And that's the crazy thing.
We're not going to sell out.
Is that they would totally not be on board with that. And even if they were, they wouldn't be able to process it. It just wouldn't, it wouldn't make any sense to them. But it should shame them because they are Super Bowl safe. They have been deemed by corporate America to be not offensive on any level to almost anyone. So that's almost the worst. To me, I mean, this sounds totally pretentious and just I'll get off my high horse or whatever. But the idea of being approved for a Super Bowl basically means that you are as mainstream of a sellout as can possibly exist.
Right.
Once a year, they choose the biggest sellout, and that person plays the halftime show of the Super Bowl.
I mean, have you heard some of the Chili Peppers songs? I don't think you could shame them into anything. They were like, we've done worse.
They're like, oh, we did Under the Bridge, and then we ripped it off about 50 times. So
exactly.
we're good. We pretty much Flea's courtside Laker tickets aren't going to pay for themselves.
So I am okay, so here's the other thing about the Super Bowl matchup.
Right.
And I want everybody to take this with a grain of salt and let you know that I have been the kiss of death in gambling this year.
Salt is delicious, though. So, I mean, right. Go ahead.
The Vegas line opened where the Seahawks were the favorite. And then once the betting started, the line swayed so far that now I believe the Broncos are 2.5-point favorites, which basically means that people are betting all their money on the Broncos.
Right.
So they need to make it more appealing to bet on the Seahawks.
That's the key to understanding how Vegas sets lines and stuff like that is that they could give a shit who they actually think would win.
Yeah.
And that's something that the average sports bettor, it takes them a long time to figure out.
Yeah.
Is that when Vegas says Broncos by 2, they don't mean they think the Broncos will win by 2. They think that half the people will bet on the Broncos and half the people will
Right.
bet on the Seahawks. So the line only exists to like make that correct, where it's like 50-50.
Yeah, they're like, their objective is
Right.
to get like a 50-50 split.
Yeah, because then like they pretty much win either way.
Money. So if everybody's betting on one team, the line's going to move to make it more, appealing to bet on the other
Right.
team. So
Exactly.
that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And the reason why this is happening is because like the main population in this country is on the eastern seaboard,
Yeah.
from like DC up to Boston.
And probably haven't seen a Seahawks game in 20 years.
And they don't know shit about the
Yeah.
Seahawks.
Right.
Like you could tell them to blue in the face that the Seahawks have the best defense in the NFL,
Right.
and that defenses win championships. But all these idiots are like Peyton Manning.
Right.
That's all they know, right?
Well, and that's the thing is that, and plus the only like quote unquote high profile games that the Seahawks play all season are against San Francisco, who's also on the West Coast. So nobody on the East Coast like ever gets aside from I guess Carolina like last week got a feel for what San Francisco was like, but that's like the closest they come to like even experiencing it. Like,
Okay, so the long and short of this is, I think
put all your goddamn money on the Seahawks.
I think the Seahawks are going to win outright. Like
Yeah,
I really do. Like it's gonna snow, which means it's gonna be a low scoring game,
Right.
and which means it's gonna be harder to pass. And like in those, everything about this says the Seahawks are gonna win, and you're getting points.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I've been the kiss of death of gambling
and definitely
all
like,
year. But like
me having any sort of confidence on this, like should be a red flag to like, take all of your money out.
this is my
but-
lock of the century of the week.
Exactly. It's a pretty big lock.
That's a pretty good board lock. All right, you want to take a break?
Let's do that.
All right. This is SFBarkast, and we will be back.
You
I
yawning?
know I'm yawning. I'm like fucking
It's like, oh, please stay
Well,
tuned.
it's
We
so-
can't, but
That's the thing. It's so dark and comfortable in here. Is that like if you didn't get like 8 hours of sleep before, you could easily fall asleep in these like
Good cover.
comfortable couches.
good, actually, yeah. Like let's put that like on the episode description. That's a selling
Comfortable
point for this
couches?
place. Yeah, like
It's a good place to take a nap.
get kicked off a BART for sleeping.
All right, we'll be back at the Casanova Lounge.
I ain't much on Casanova. Me and Romeo ain't never been friends. Can't you see how much I really love you? Gonna sing it to you time and time again. Oh, Casanova. Casanova. Every man deserves a good woman, and I want you to be my wife. Time is so much better spent.
This is worse than Pack.
All right, we are back at.
No introductions.
I'm gonna introduce you. Okay. All right, so we're back at the Casanova Lounge.
Casanova
on
Lounge.
Valencia Street, and we have kind of a.
Pseudonym.
I would say special.
My name's
I
Doc.
w- hey, I would say special guest, but really
Doc.
more like a guest.
Yeah.
Doc,
Like
Yeah.
a unannounced guest.
We'll call him Doc Norris.
never play cards.
Because, you
with a
know,
man
he,
named
uh,
Doc.
And Doc is he's a
consultant.
long time San Franciscan.
Frequent San Quentin
he's seen-
visitor.
I played baseball at San
See,
Quentin.
that I
Yeah,
knew
he
this
played
about you.
baseball at San Quentin.
Played hardball with
But
against
that,
the
that
prisoners.
counts under
I
visiting.
was the starting shortstop, actually.
Bragging.
Bragging, yeah.
how's,
Well, I'm
uh,
on the internet, so I gotta brag.
Yeah.
How's Chuck Manson's screwball?
Well, they
Dude, where
they
do
had
you-
a band out there that was playing the Allman Brothers tune in memory of Elizabeth Reed, and I was like, "Don't ask how she died."
Who the fuck is Elizabeth Reed? Okay, so for people that
Come
know,
on, Lizzie Reed.
Doug's lived longer than us, so I don't know who Elizabeth Reed is.
I
you
don't
know, it-
either, but that's the name of the song.
She's on the Brady Bunch, right? I don't know.
It's Florence Henderson. So one interesting thing that the story you told me about that, like a time you went to go play baseball in San Quentin, is you were like, you guys are going to play, there, and you're playing against prisoners, right?
Yeah.
So you told me, how did it go?
Real
like,
prisoners, not fake prisoners, right?
Yeah.
They don't like bust them in like
Yeah,
a
they were-
Hollywood.
We're in the yard, right? There's no, like, the yard is wide open. Like, anybody
Yeah.
could come and, shiv me if I, threw
Stole
them
second.
out. Stole second, yeah.
Right. But tell the story about how suddenly a sound went off.
Oh, right. Well, in the yard, if this whistle goes off, all of the prisoners have to get down to one knee because something's going on, right?
Okay.
So we're playing along, and all of
pull
a sudden,
a Tebow or whatever.
so all of a sudden the other team like drops to one knee, and we're like, what are they doing? And they're
What
like-
are they praying to Mecca or something?
Right.
And we're like, oh yeah, because we didn't hear it. They all heard it, but we didn't hear it because it's it's like only for
Was it like a code? Like they?
you got to have a dog whistle or something.
Oh.
You should have and this is just like my mind working. It's like what you should have done is should have got hold of that whistle, and when somebody in your team got a hit, you blow the whistle so they all
There
go
we
down
go.
on one knee, and this guy
Right.
gets an inside the park home run.
That's how you get shivved.
That's how Bill Buckner got shit.
Right, exactly. You know what? Probably cheating at San Quentin prison unadvisable.
Nah.
Well, we were warming up, right?
Well, what's the stakes for the game?
Like some grounders. I don't know what
People
the
get
stakes-
out?
It's just they're happy to have a team show up and play against.
Oh,
them.
that's not stakes. Like somebody's got to get out. If the prisoners win, like they get to like,
If they
mono a
behave,
mono,
they get to play ball. If they don't
Okay.
behave, they don't get to play ball.
If
This
you
is-
play
this
ball, you'll play ball.
this is
right.
much less Thunderdome than I was hoping for. But
I
go
actually-
ahead.
I could bring the A material. You didn't say you
All right.
wanted the A material.
I actually have a.
The Thunderdome story.
So what I was going to say before you so rudely interrupted me
This is worse than Barry Sobel.
I was gonna say it's like Barry Soul Part 2.
was we were warming up, right? And I missed a grounder, right? And the second baseman was like, "Don't show weakness."
Oh, the second baseman on your team?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that doesn't seem fair.
So I have a kind of even weirder story about San Quentin. Like when I was taking criminal justice classes at San Francisco State.
Okay.
This guy who was like a superstar in the criminal justice system. His name was Mike Rustigan, and like he taught everywhere. He was the guy that whenever there was a weird crime, like he would like the local news affiliates would call him and ask him about like the merits of the crime or what's going to happen next.
Right.
So he told me like some stories that like when he was in high school, like he was on the wrestling team and he went to San Quentin to wrestle.
Oh my God.
And I was like, just like in my mind, I'm just like thinking, there is so much wrong with this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like if you're playing baseball, you're playing second base, you're not having some prisoner like put you in a sleeper hold, you know?
Right. I mean, this is basically like like a guy that like puts his head into like tigers' mouths is like that guy that almost killed like Roy in Sick Grade Roy. I want to put my tiger in his mouth now. Like,
Right, yeah.
Like because like that seems cool.
Yeah, and it's like, and also like you put together that like, like they were doing like traditional wrestling, so they're wearing like the proper attire, and like you're walking through like a prison in like skin tight tights to wrestle these prisoners.
I thought it was
I
like-
know where your mind's at.
This is not.
It's over the top that they made him wear like a sign on his back that said "Fun Hole" and pointing
Yeah.
down. But
I'm sorry, if Johnny Cash wants to go and sing songs on stage to the prisoners, that's totally different than greasing himself up and jumping in the middle of a fucking prison riot.
that's on you. Oh boy.
I don't know if I keep
Oh,
up,
boy.
man. This is the level of
Don't worry, you can keep up. We can ask you about.
stuff.
How often do you come to this bar?
Do you like this bar?
I used to come here like back in the day,
Back when it was cool.
back when it was
When we say, because I say this as well, when you say back in the day, what do you mean?
when they had an organ over there and a pool table right there.
1920s.
Remember the organ?
Yeah. Wait, I remember the pool table. I don't remember.
Wait, there
the
was
They
an
had,
organ?
They had an organ that sat there. Yeah.
Oh
shit.
yeah.
They would have performances and then you could play the organ.
Fucking organ.
So
There's like a goddamn pizza and pipes in
I
here.
remember the time I threw your shoe into the ladies' room. The year
do you remember that was what that was after?
The year the Pats won the Super Bowl for the first time.
That was like so. Doug, I kind of pride myself, and people have told me that when I'm drunk, I behave myself. Like I don't seem drunk. I could be like totally fucking blasted, and I seem kind of suave.
Sure.
Except the time the Patriots won the Super Bowl the first time.
Right.
I was a mess because I never thought that I was gonna see that in my
This
life.
is 2001.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
officially 2002.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
like,
but
yeah,
it was like the 9/11 Super Bowl.
it was the 9/11 Super Bowl. A lot of people were saying like it was fixed because they wanted a team called the
Right.
Patriots to win after the.
You know,
9/11.
because we all hate Rams when it comes
Yeah,
down
you
to
did
it.
get plastered. I don't know if I'd ever seen you drunk before that. Like, I mean, you drink, but
Oh yeah,
you never get sloppy drunk. But yeah, you were.
yeah, that was bad. I mean, like, yeah, how else did my shoes end up in the ladies' room?
You were like rolling on the pool table, and then your shoe fell off, and I threw it in the ladies' room.
As someone
Because I
who
thought
is
that would be a brilliant thing to do.
'Cause
as
you know
someone
what?
who
You're
has
full
been
of good
employed,
ideas.
as someone who was in your employ, to punch you in the stomach until you threw up over my shoulder, I will have to disagree with like that being the drunkest I've ever seen you.
That was probably the drunkest I've ever seen. But you know what? I'm such like a mimic. Like I remember being in Taunton.
Right.
Okay, this is we're really getting into like this segment is called Bad Shit That Jeff Doesn't Do Anymore.
It's like, not even his therapist knows.
So when I was in high school, my friend Tony got really hammered, and like we were trying to like we're kids, so like you know we have to get back. We can't like call our parents and we're too drunk to come home. Like so we have to pull together. It's like Band of Brothers with like alcoholism, and so we go to and like Tony's like I can't walk
The
anymore.
only victims are innocent people. But go ahead.
Tony's like I can't walk anymore. I just can't do it. And my friend Dave goes, hey, you want me to take care of this for you? No, and Tony's like, I think I need to throw up. I was like, and he can't throw up. And Dave just goes, do you want me to take care of this for you? And he's like, yeah. And Dave just winds up and punches him in the stomach, like in the gut. And then Tony like immediately goes, ah! And then I was just like, I was like, Dave, I can't believe you punched him. And as soon as Tony got his breath, he's like, thank you so much, man. And so that happened to me in LA
He
where I
fucking
was,
lanced the wound.
where I was so drunk and I was like, I've seen this work once before. I had Andrew punch me in the gut. Not exactly the same.
Didn't work.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a little, but like it was really.
It just came up and then you went back down.
Well, this is like biker bar hurricanes too, so it was just like like I'm sure most of what you threw up was like a combination of like sugar and like
First off,
fucking
let's talk about this.
devil's semen.
I forget the name of the bar that we went to in the San Fernando Valley. This is gonna be the purging of all our bad stories.
It's called the Tryst.
It was called the Tryst, and if it's still there, anyone who lives in the valley should not go there. They should burn it down. So they
Should be
have
sued.
these drinks called the Hurricane, and you can get a Hurricane in any like Polynesian bar, right?
Yeah.
But the Hurricanes at the Tryst are huge, and they're like I don't know what
They're
the
like
hell.
Katrina.
Yeah, they're like a level 4 hurricane. They're
It's
they're
one of those
you
drinks
can't-
where like it sort of
it'll-
comes in
it'll
like
wreck
a
the Superdome.
Monsoon.
it comes in like one of those like ridiculous sort of tall glasses that like fools you into thinking that it's like not that much, but it's actually like 3 or 4 pints stacked on top of each other, and like literally like the bartender making it uses all like 6 orifices between their fingers to hold bottles upside down and like just drains it into until about the top quarter.
That's
Until about the top
yeah.
quarter, and then I think the top quarter is like pineapple juice or like
Right, just
Whatever.
for like color or something. And like
jizz in it just to like give it some
we
froth.
drank some of that. Like we would go there for I think it was like either your birthday or my birthday. And
Yeah.
I think that's the only time I've seen you really bad because you were sitting in a very comfortable like they have like these nice leather couches just like they have here at the Casanova. And I saw just Andrew go and start to sort of convulse like he's gonna throw up, and then put his hand over his mouth, and so he put his hand
squirted out into
out of his nose.
Oh.
He
Not
was hand-
even through his finger orifices.
Well, you should have. If you were smart, Andrew, you would put your hand over like your mouth and your nose.
And then what?
But
Right.
I'd be
Your
afraid it would
ears?
go into your ears or your eyes.
Well, if you can create like a tunnel into your sweater, that's what you want to
that's
do.
That's another one.
Experience.
It's like sort of the underground railroad technique.
I mean, this is a podcast about drinking in bars, so we might as well get into it. We had a friend, Chuck Jones, who we all went to a
Chuck
bar.
Jones?
Chuck Jones, like not
Not
the
the cartoonist.
So
His actual name was Sterling, if you can believe
Sterling
it, but he went by
Charles
Chuck.
That's good.
So we were all at the Wishing Well in the Inner Sunset.
Yes.
And
Across from Yancey's.
yeah, across from Yancey's, and Andrew was driving, and he had this Honda Civic.
Toyota Corolla.
Corolla. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So it was like
I know. I was living large at that point.
it's a small car, like so. But like we crammed like maybe like 7 people into it.
Right.
So we got Susie and Marcia, and we got like me and Andrew, and like somebody, and like Chuck Jones is like sitting on someone's lap in the back, and he just
Is it
decides.
like riding the
He's just-
transmission, like
Well, he's riding bitch on top of somebody who's
Yeah.
riding bitch. You know what I mean? Like in the back, like on the hump.
bitch on bitch.
So, at some point, Chuck is getting sick on the ride. It's like a 1.5 mile ride, right? But like, does he tell anyone that he's getting sick? No. What he does, he pulls his jacket close and he starts to vomit into his jacket.
Oh my God.
And he's just like, oh, the perfect crime.
Exactly.
You know, like no one will know, right? And then
What could possibly give this away?
And then as soon as we pulled into the driveway, I think Susie said, hey, Chuck, are you sick? And then like the gig was up and he just went, bah! And it went everywhere. And then like people like fell out of the car like it was a fucking like Ringling Brothers clown car.
Covered in vomit.
Covered in vomit.
It was like the Hurt Locker. It was just like,
I remember like taking Chuck to like just like basically this is and like we probably all had to do this because we're like good friends, but like just basically taking him to the shower and just being like, hey,
Closing him off.
just like, hey, take all your clothes off and get in the shower, lay on the tub, and I'll put the warm water on you, and you'll be okay.
and he's like, how is fingering your balls part of this? And you're like, shut up.
Don't argue. We've all been here before.
On that note, I'm gonna go finger my balls.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break for Christ's
All right.
sake.
I don't even know how. I think we had like a few things that we wanted to talk about.
Oh, we'll get to
But we
them.
get like totally
we'll get to
derailed
them.
'cause it's-
None of that stuff we want to talk about.
you know what? It's all stream of consciousness. You know,
Stream,
like
stream of something.
it's a stream of vomitness.
Stream of piss.
Right.
All right, we'll be back at the
Shut it
Casanova
down.
Lounge.
Is my ugliness, should I find out something I don't wanna know about? Don't disinclude me, treat me like a kid. Casanova to the mentally ill. I don't know why it comes as no surprise. Assuming demotion with tears in your eyes. Don't want the wrong person holding me. Know where you've been, your mind's uneasy.
All right, and we are back at the Casanova with our very guest Doc Norris. Let's just call him
Doc O'Clock.
Doug N. No, wait, that's too. That's
D.
too-
Norris.
D. Norris.
There
Yeah.
you go.
If you just use my middle name as well, then I'll sound like a serial killer.
I don't really know Casanova. That's the song I'm thinking of. But go ahead. Like, sorry.
Okay, so I want to point something out about the bar. Now,
That's not what we're here for. Oh wait, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
this bar used to be a notoriously bad place. Okay, if you're somebody like me and you have like this fucking horrible diet, like you are not. Like, I see like commercials about people who are regular, and people say like, oh no, I could never take a dump in a public place. That's not me. I'm the opposite of that. Okay.
Wait, how many times have you like been like, I gotta go home and take a dump?
Well, if I'm close to my apartment, I will do that.
Or
yeah.
like a block away?
Right, well, but I'm not gonna. I'm a
a
professional
territorial thing.
podcaster. All right, so
Okay. sorry.
this bar
Right.
notoriously was one of the worst places if you had to relieve yourself in that way.
No door.
Because they had no door. But guess what?
Is there a door now?
The world has changed.
My God.
They put
I
a
didn't even
door
notice
in
that
the
there was a
stall.
door. Like,
They sold the pool table and the organ and they bought a door. Wow.
Yeah,
Progress.
they're like, we need to.
now there's finally something to kick down if you want to watch somebody take a shit.
They're realizing that a lot of affluent people are moving into the neighborhood, and they don't like taking dumps with no door in front of them. So they got to cater to all this new money here.
Well, and like
Jeez.
the dudes that are into like watching people take dumps, like they need a challenge. Like you can't just like be able to walk in and look at it. Like
Dude,
you know,
can you,
where's the fun in that?
Did you see the photo of, like, the Sochi Olympics are coming up, right? Did you see the photo of some like sports writer is over there, and they designed these stalls that have 2 toilets in them.
That's not gay. Oh wait.
How?
It's like a mistake, though, wasn't it? Like,
Was it a mistake,
or was
or-
it like I couldn't tell because like
But wait a minute. If you're the guy installing the 2 toilets right
Right.
next to each other,
What if there's
like-
like Siamese twins and they gotta go?
that's true.
hey,
What if
good
you-
point.
What if
Shit,
your
man.
conjoined twin has to take a dump?
All right, like, I mean, you would think that like conjoined twins would probably be a natural for the like 2-man luge as well.
That, you know my favorite. What's your favorite Winter Olympic sport?
50-man luge.
The 50-man luge. The incredibly gay bobsled is pretty good too.
Yeah.
They're not allowing that one this year.
I like don't ask, don't
It's
ice dance.
propaganda.
Dude, they say
Putin, he said like no flamboyant demonstrations of
Dude, they
gay
say-
lifestyle, and he demonstrated it by posing with his shirt off.
So I
Right,
think
yeah,
like,
exactly.
like flamboyant pretty much like means if you're like super butch lesbian though, like you got a clear path. Like like because they're
How
not
much you
like
wanna bet?
flamboyant. Like
Putin, who is like totally anti-gay, how much you want to bet he sits in the front row of the figure skating competition?
Now that's just
That, yeah.
close enough to get Brian Boitano all over you.
They say that like there's they're saying like a 50% chance that there's going to be a terrorist attack at Sochi because it's so
I like
close
those
to
odds.
Chechnya and Georgia and all those
well,
like
they vowed to fucking
all
Oops.
those little groups they've like called on like yes, but on the other side of it they say there's going to be a 60 mile like security zone.
you have to have a special passport to get in.
Right.
See, I think
mean-
that like I think they just do that to increase the ratings. They say like, there's going to be a terrorist attack.
Well, that's why I watch like figure skating anyway. It's not because I want to see good figure. I'm waiting for someone to fall on their ass.
Oh yeah, like ever since Tanya Harding, I'm waiting for some fat guy to come out of the dark and like pipe some girl in the knee.
Dude, the guy who cut my hair, like he's like this big figure skater.
Right.
Well, he's like this big gay man, and he used to be a figure skater, right? And
That's like I love it just like that as a San Francisco like sort of like
I got my hair
like
cut
cutout
at
like
this place on Mission Street when I first lived in the Mission. And
What Olympic event did he compete in?
And it was a gay Hispanic fellow. And I went there a couple times, and like the third time I went there, he's like, "Oh, do you want to see my pictures?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, pictures." He brings out his album, and there are pictures of him in his underwear. I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
okay, I gotta go. No tip for you. So here's a tip: don't show people your underwear
That's a-
photos.
that's
so
a
anyway,
colorful
the Winter
story.
Olympics go on.
So the guy who cut my hair, like he was explaining to me, when I found out he used to be a figure skater, he said, I mentioned something about the Tanya Harding thing, and he's like, this is the thing you got to know about figure skaters. He's like, they're all white trash. The worst. Like, they make it seem like they're all like super princessy, but
Yeah.
he was like, Nancy Kerrigan was the most princessy of
It's all like toddlers and tiaras. It's like the same
yeah,
shit.
well, it's
Like,
all like people from fucking
That's
Reno and like the middle, like North Dakota and stuff. And
There
he's
was,
like
like,
they're all
a-
super white. He's like, especially the Europeans. They're all like white trash Europeans.
Time to take out the Euro trash.
No, but it's crazy. Like, cause I watched there was like a 30 by 30 on like ESPN of like about the Tanya Harding thing, and like that is like, and even they tried to sort of make it sound like Nancy Kerrigan was like, Boston, like upper crust or whatever like that. But you could tell that even she was like sort of trash for Massachusetts, where it's like
she
like,
probably lived in Worcester or something.
She was from Massachusetts? I thought she was
Yeah,
from
she's a
Utah or
Massachusetts
something.
Yeah.
girl. No, yeah.
Yeah.
She probably had like every Deep Purple album. Like.
Awesome.
she like lived in like East Wareham and like worked at the water park.
Dude. So Doug,
Yes, sir.
you are a longtime resident of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the new San Francisco? And because I know, like, you and I have known each other for a long time. We used to go down to. What's your favorite bar that you go to in your time in San Francisco?
Well, when the Latin opened up, the beginning of the gentrification of the Mission, it was an artsy place, and it was fun. It wasn't, there wasn't anything else to go to except
There-
maybe Doc's Clock.
Did I ever tell you the story? Like, I had a friend come in who used to live in Boulder, Colorado, and she came out to San Francisco for like 1 weekend, and she like did a little research, and she said like, oh, I want to go to this place called the Latin American Club. And I was like, oh yeah, you should totally go there. That place is great. Everybody's fun there. And then I talked to her afterwards, and I was like, hey, how'd you like the Latin? She's like, nah, I didn't really like it that much because nobody spoke Spanish. And I was like, it didn't even dawn on me, but like for the entire time I've been in San Francisco, the Latin American Club used to be a Latin American bar.
There's plenty of Mexican bars. There were plenty of Mexican bars in the area she could have gone to.
Sure,
you know,
but
she
like,
really wanted to experience the low down, dirty.
But like, if you're looking at like a guide of bars in the area, like would you like what's the bar on like on 60th and
the City Club?
The City Club, like a place called the City Club or the place called the Latin American Club. Like, which one would you expect to be?
Yeah, and you wanted to go and speak Spanish.
Like, full of hipsters, and which one would you expect to be like?
Yeah, but that's like a perfect example where it's like the Latin at some point, way back in the day, was for the Latin American community. And ever since I've been here,
was it even called the Latin American Club before?
Yeah, I think that's the story. It's like it was called the Latin American Club.
Yeah, because
and then it got taken over by hipsters.
On the sign.
Yeah,
I think he painted a little pony in there. Made it real put a bird on it.
I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but someone's car alarm is going on out front, and that always makes awesome podcasts.
That's just something I put in editing.
He had, the
I'm sorry.
installations in there. You go in there, and he had like the mannequin that was tarred and feathered, and it was it was cool.
And who was our favorite regular at the Latin?
Constance.
The Red Man.
The Red Man. There was a guy.
I said Constance, but that's not true.
Movie rights.
One man movie rights.
Nobody looked forward to seeing Constance. That was what made that a funny joke.
It was Mikey. Everybody went for Mikey.
No, there was one guy who would go to the Latin American Club, and he would dress all in like this red jumpsuit.
And red face paint.
And
like that sort of old carny face paint that like was clearly like made out of like something that gives you skin cancer or something. Like, it's just like that caked on like gross like.
But he also had like black makeup around his eyes, so he looked like this kind of really kind of creepy dude.
He was like a Charlie Chaplin in a like a red jumpsuit.
But if you try to talk
red
to him,
skin, like painted skin, and he couldn't. He seemed like he was pretty chill, but he was definitely on a different plane.
Yeah, when you try to talk to him,
Casanova's going to be so mad at us for having this conversation during their bar.
Well, what? The Casanova should get their own crazy version.
Casanova's always red. They got red walls and red lights.
That's true. It's their fault, really.
Like why didn't the Red Man come here? He's like, I would disappear.
Yeah. It's your fault, Casanova.
You wouldn't be able to see me.
Take all the red out of the bar if you don't want us to talk about the Red Man, jerks.
All right, well, maybe we'll go back to the Casanova.
Are we digressing?
Let me just say
we'll
this
go back.
about
We're
the Red
there
Man.
now.
If you like rolled over to the Red Man, you try to talk to him, what would he say? He'd be like, "One man movie rights" or something like that, like something like gibberish. Like,
well, he had those Xeroxes that he
this is
made.
back when like crazy people were actually crazy and
But
perhaps
he wasn't
dangerous.
That crazy. He was like He was decent. He could get along. He was just on a different plane.
Well, but the thing is,
would you rather hang out with the Red Man or Omer? Come on.
Or Frank Chu.
Well, Frank's pretty chill. He's definitely on something.
There are times
like
where like Frank seems like he's a crazy guy.
Omer is just like over the top, right?
Oh, Omer is like he's got Omer. For people who don't know, Omer is this guy who looks like William H. Macy, and he plays guitar, self-taught guitar.
He's got a wicked mullet.
And
he'll like jump on the hood of your car and scream at you on Valencia Street, like.
Yeah, super charming.
Yeah.
And Frank Chu is this guy who walks around the city with a sign that talks gibberish. The sign talks gibberish.
12 galaxies. He's got a theory. He's got some very,
I feel like if you don't know who Frank Chu is, you shouldn't even you don't deserve any sort of credibility at all. Nick, you should just stop.
But if you're Frank Chu,
like he's got a whole theory about the 12 galaxies. It's not just like a.
But if he's talking about the 12 galaxies in his theories, he's totally out there and he sounds completely crazy. But the thing is, in real life, if you roll up on him and just talk to him, he's like, "Yeah, hey man, is there anything good going on tonight?"
Right. He's like, "Can you give me a ride back to Oakland?"
Yeah. It's like
no, dude, I'm not driving over there.
Who's that comedian?
Didn't occur to me that you would ask for something that plain. But
who's that comedian who said that it always like it doesn't freak him out that like there are crazy people in the world. It's like freaks him out when they do something kind of sensible. Like there's a guy in front of like a box office, like talking to his hand, going ants, 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 and he turns to the box office and goes, "One for Legends of the Fall, please." Just like, how did that come out?
Yeah, I don't know.
So what's your? I mean, okay, so you would say the Latin is your favorite bar in San Francisco?
Well, it used to be my favorite, you know.
What is it now? Delirium?
Page.
I don't know if I have a favorite bar now.
Yeah.
What's that bar out in the avenues? Like
Oh, the
Roy's,
Avenues bar.
Which one? What?
Roy's? No, I don't know what it's
Roy's.
Club Chiraco?
Last Stand.
called. No.
Where in the avenues?
Well, I like the Embers. The Embers was a good bar because they had so many paintings of crying clowns.
Yeah, the Embers are gone.
And it was like walking into hell, right? Like you walk into this bar called the Embers with like, you know, little flames around the
It might be the most horrific,
and
scary bar I've ever been in my
it's
life.
filled with sad clown paintings. So you know you're in a portal to hell. You know.
Well, and
It's
then
just
it
like,
burned down.
where-
Yeah,
where-
ironically.
exactly. Strangely
Oh,
enough,
yeah,
the Embers
it
burned down.
Burned down, quote unquote. Right?
Well, who would set all those clown
portal
paintings on
just,
fire?
You know, the portal opened and
Oh, I see.
They got called back.
Well, fucking stupid me for not thinking of that.
I mean, come on.
Also, like,
Dumbass.
I don't want to bring up like a bad subject here, but Andrew, speaking of bars that have closed down,
Don't even.
this is Andrew's like
I'm in,
9/11.
It is, yeah. Well,
Like, we did our
That might
It's
be
like
overstating
Andrew's-
a little bit.
Andrew's Building 7.
because he doesn't understand how it went down. That'd be a good joke. But anyway, so we did our end of the year. We picked our favorite bars,
Yes.
and right after, and I want to say that you gave Drew Harmon an enormous amount of shit for like him picking a bar and then immediately going under.
Right.
His favorite bar of last year just closed down, and
Hot
that
Spot.
is the Hot Spot.
Hotspot on
The
Market.
Hot Spot closed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand, how a gay sports bar could fail.
The crazy thing,
How does that happen?
when we were there,
What's wrong
On
with the
Market Street,
universe?
right across the street from Twitter.
Yeah.
like when we were there, it's the most obvious like fact in the world.
Is that where the Hofbrau used to be? The one that had all the they paid all the girls under the table. They were from like Scandinavia.
I think that's a bar you go to.
No,
Like,
it was
You
a
just invented that in your
Hofbrau.
head.
They had like
I have no idea what that is. Okay.
roast beef. It was near the
You
the
know.
hobby store that had like model trains.
Sounds more like
You-
roast beef curtain.
You guys,
me.
you guys are
Anyway,
like,
so
you guys
Andrew,
are the problem. You're not old school San Franciscans. You don't know about the Hofbrau?
I agree with that 100%.
Jesus.
I am part of the problem.
you are part of the
I
problem.
should just kill both of you right now and
I know,
save.
you're
All right,
fucking
can you,
run us
can you
out of
hold
town.
off on killing us right now, Andrew? What are your thoughts on having your favorite bar in San Francisco? Basically,
What a fucking bummer, man. I mean, here's
That
a
was
bar.
Your favorite bar?
Well, I mean, the favorite bar we went to last year because it was the first time I'd ever been there. So it was a cool bar to find.
I actually kind of liked it. It
Yeah.
had a good vibe.
It had great internet jukebox. It had that whole sort of like overhang area where you could just watch shit go down, and a fucking
place
lottery
on Market
ticket,
Street, the
shot,
gay-
and
the
a
gay
beer
sports
special.
bar.
That's like
yeah. They gave you
The
holy
lottery
triumvirate.
tickets. They gave you
We went
scratch
there, it was
tickets.
crowded.
What?
Remember?
Every time I go there, it's not crowded.
Well, I mean, I never went there at 1:30 a.m.
Well,
Like
it's
we went
like-
there at 1:30 p.m.
They had the drink special where you could get like a shot,
Right.
a bad beer, and a scratch ticket. And they also had this thing on the side called Drinko, which is like based on the game Plinko from Price is Right.
Yeah.
So you put like a chip down, and it goes in where it falls is like the drink you get. But the funny thing is where it falls.
Pachinko?
No,
No, not
Drinko.
Plinko.
But the
Plinko.
thing is, all of the ultimate sort of like sections say you're gonna get drunk, and there you go.
Well, that's stupid.
No, I'm kidding about that part. But
All right, let's take a break.
all right, let's take a break.
Let's take a goddamn break.
Things are getting out of hand. Come on, Doug. Get it together.
Yeah, get it together, Doug. So Andrew, I'm gonna let Andrew. He needs a little bit of time to, pull himself
We
together
all need
after,
to settle down.
after losing.
Ridiculous. Now I'm gonna have to go somewhere else to like drink
Jerk
and
off in the bathroom.
All right, this is SFBarkast. We'll be back from the Casanova Lounge. All right, and we are back.
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
I went to the,
Wake up, Andrew.
I went to the Castro last night and saw Napoleon Dynamite.
So, Doug, what's been happening in your life?
Any movies recently?
John Hader was there, and he answered some. He had to do a Q&A afterwards.
John Hader.
Heater.
Oh, Heater. Yeah.
The star.
Yes, the star.
Hey,
But he didn't. He right here. Oh, I don't know. He didn't bring it.
Right. Okay, there we go.
But he didn't look
For the,
like. he
for the
didn't
viewer
look
at
like
home,
the,
Jeff just wondered
Napoleon
where his drink was,
Dynamite
and it was right in
anymore.
front of his face.
He
And
looked,
what happened?
He looked sort of like a sort of an LA actor.
Indeed.
Anyway, I'd forgotten how like awesome that movie really
Well, he got like
That-
totally
that-
LA'd out. Like, remember that the singer Jewel? She was like, yeah, I used to sing in coffee shops and live in my car.
Uh-huh.
In her first album, and then on her second album, she came back and she was totally Britney'd out. She's like, yeah, I'm a sexy blonde.
But the movie.
But she had like a
which I-
snaggletooth,
I
though,
couldn't
like, it
remember.
didn't work.
I didn't remember
Some people are
anything
into that
about
shit.
the movie. Was hilarious, and
Yeah.
I'd forgotten it. And it's also very painful because it's all about like, trying to fucking deal with like high school and being a freak.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. Jeff's got. Some
I don't think
items he
anybody
wants
All
has
right,
to
one of the
why
things
you
I
brought
want
that
to say about this bar, though,
Okay, yeah, go
as
ahead.
came back, like the drinks here are pretty cheap.
Yeah, this is a prime piece of real estate. Like this is like
Right.
There are like celebrity chefs that would probably like,
Swoop in.
stab the owner in the chest in order to like get this space.
I mean, I just bought like 2 mixed drinks and a beer, and it was like $13. It's pretty amazing for the mission.
It is.
And like I believe the Racer 5 here
I think
is like,
is it happy hour? Because the Stolian tonic was $5,
What
which is
time is it?
reasonable.
Well, it's only 6:20, so
Right, so
so
baby's
happy hour is
happy
at
hour.
7.
all right.
All right, so calm down about your cheap drinks.
All right, one of the other things I noticed when I was at the bar,
Okay.
and I kind of alluded to this earlier in the Barcast, they used to have a DJ booth over here.
Yeah.
And it was like a huge like controversy when this happened.
Right.
That the cops came through and they cracked down on places that had DJ booths and they didn't have cabaret licenses.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
So basically you have to have like a cabaret performance license to have a DJ booth.
Right.
But if anyone
It's
knows
like in New York, you can't dance in bars.
really?
Yeah, like same kind of deal. Like it's like
Well, the thing is, like, if anyone comes to the Casanova, it's not a dance club. It's just like their DJ booth entails people who are into like music, playing their vinyl, or sometimes the DJs are like show up with like 4 iPods and they just go back and forth.
Yeah.
Well,
And
how,
that
how
like
is
requires.
a DJ booth different than just having like a stereo?
Well, that's what people are saying is like if you have a separate thing over here, like if the bartender wants to play their iPod, they don't need a cabaret license.
Right.
But if you have a separate thing and you have somebody who's advertising as DJ Food Court, who is awesome, on the side there, they came down on them and said like you have to A, buy a cabaret license, and B, you have to soundproof the place.
oh wow.
So they were just like, so they got rid of their DJ booth over here because they just didn't want to deal with it.
Like
What
the
about
crazy
the
thing.
organ and the pool table? Did those get swept up as well?
I think that was different. Like
That was the pool table wars of 2003. You missed it.
I don't think
The organ was collateral damage.
I don't think
Lost
you need,
my arm.
I don't think you need a permit to have a pool table and an organ. I mean, you should.
But the crazy thing is, like, the technology basically sort of made the cumbersome part of being a DJ completely obsolete.
Right.
So where you could like walk in with like your entire like set on your wrist or whatever, and so like
I mean, you could phone it in. You could,
yeah,
you could
and like
internet it in.
so then the only purpose for like for wanting to like go against that law is that you're a DJ that wants to be known as being a good DJ. So
Right.
and so like it's weird because like now a bartender can be just as an effective of a DJ as a DJ could.
Right. Well, I think like the story was that all came down right after like somebody got murdered in front of Double Dutch, and it was like the second time someone got murdered in front of Double Dutch, which is right next to Andalou. And like the clientele of the mission has gotten more affluent, and people like the cops probably just be like, hey, you know what? you're gonna ruin these white people's dinners if you keep killing each other. So they swept through all the bars and they made everybody go by the book.
If you want to talk about the changes in San Francisco, one of the most prescient issues was the decline of live music venues.
Yeah.
Because what happened in Soma was that the live-work loft became a way for developers to get around building new apartments, right? So now you could build anything, a commercial place, call it a live-work loft, and rich people could move in next to music venues 10, 15, and then complain about them. And
that was really that was always
that's the best part. Is it's like, oh, you're going to live right on top of the new Sun Studios.
Yeah.
And it's like, goddamn noise.
Right.
But
it's only been there for 20 years.
Right. But doesn't it feel like it is that it's all about that sort of capital entitlement? Where it's if you moved into a condo right next to 1015 and you're like, wait a minute, I think those guys are playing their DJ music too loud. Well, 1015 has been there for 20 years, and you think just because you have money and first off, you should have known where you were moving into.
It's basically a dumb real estate decision. You said hey, this is awesome. I'm going to live right on top of a club, and then you get there and you're like, I'm on top of a club.
And you'd think the cops would be like, what are you thinking?
Right.
But it was just an excuse for them to crack down.
No, because
sure, well, because they know that there's a lot more money to be made in
real estate.
Yeah, buttering the bread of
Look at what's happening over at 16th and Mission. That plaza used to be a goddamn fucking Oliver Stone platoon war zone, and now cops are there all the time.
Best place in the city.
Best plaza of 1986. But
Exactly.
But now that they have that proposal to put in all those condos right on the corner there, suddenly people are like, yeah, we need to clean up the plaza. And
the same thing's happening in the mid-market area.
Oh yeah.
Have you noticed how many businesses have closed down in that area? I think they're forcing businesses to close. They're trying to redevelop that area.
Well, dude, think about it. The Hotspot, which is a dive bar right across the street from the new Twitter offices, and all those places are getting developed over on mid-market. And right around the corner, what was that place, that shishi bar that we went to, right around the corner from the?
Oh, yeah, it's like a brand new bar.
What are the chances?
The tourists come to town, and they wander past Fifth Street, right? They wander to 6th Street, and suddenly they're in a war zone.
Right. But what are the chances that a bar like a dive bar, in the middle of all of that affluent redevelopment, has? Not a whole lot, and believe me, I feel like mid-market could use a little bit of gentrification, or at least not gentrification, but maybe a little bit more cleaning up. But it's all that shit's gonna be gone. It's gonna be exactly what happened in Times Square.
Part of me feels like it's always in the control of the developers though, and that they've known for some. I mean, even when Twitter moved in, they're like, we can keep this for a little while because it serves our interest, which is to bring hipsters here and say hey, you get to live next to the Hotspot, check it out, and then immediately change it.
It's like the sports bets in Vegas. Those guys know the odds like nobody's business, and the developers know the odds like nobody's business.
Exactly.
When it comes to San Francisco, they're not going to put a bunch of money into a place where it's going to be homeless people hanging out,
that's
right?
what makes me say that
the thing is
and that's why it's so difficult for it to get traction, right?
Right.
It's just a culture clash because San Francisco has always been a very tolerant, sympathetic city to the plight of poor people. But now you have these douchebag techies coming in and writing essays about the the crazy people on the street they have to walk around. It's you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars at this place. You can at least.
I mean, it's always been an ongoing battle, right? Between those who want to clean up the city and those who want to be humane to the homeless.
Although the ongoing thing about San Francisco,
the homeless tend to take advantage of that humaneness, the money they give out.
The ongoing thing about San Francisco is that you constantly there's no place to expand to. You're constantly going to be presented with this problem because you can't move anywhere else.
The inevitable will be what happened in Manhattan, which is just the monetization right? Where there's no place for them to live, eventually, right? They're gonna get pushed out because of financial gentrification.
Oh, and then they're going to have to buy my house in San Leandro.
Yeah. When it comes to the tolerance of San Francisco and when the homeless, I have a friend who worked very heavily with helping out the homeless and stuff, and he said the worst thing about cleaning up the homeless problem in San Francisco was the Coalition for the Homeless. And they're a legal group that fights for homeless rights, and his take was they're fighting for their right to live on the street, and he was fighting to get them off the street. So he's yeah, it's good if they need that, but their whole argument was you can't tell someone not to sleep on the street, and he's well, I want to give them a home, I want to give them shelter.
If they don't want a home,
right.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So it's this constant fight, even within two fractions of people who are trying to help them.
Because once you put somebody in a home, then they have to abide by rules, right? You can't smoke in here. You can't smoke crack in here. You can't drink in here.
But you know what? I kind of feel
I like to smoke crack.
Yeah, crack is fun. It gets you really high. But you kind of, that almost sounds like when my dad's talking about, oh yeah, some of these people who collect bottles and cans, they make $40,000 a year. I'm that's fucking bullshit. That is a made-up figure, so you can feel good about the people you throw garbage at. It's that's bullshit.
That guy that you denied change to, he has an apartment in Dubai.
You ask anybody, you ask anybody who's living on the street, would you rather be sleeping on the street or would you rather be sleeping inside?
Right, but they have rules, and if the rules are such that they can't live the way they want to live, then they're not going to want to do it. In Oregon, they let people live in apartments and continue to drink as long as they don't create problems.
If I'm in Key West or something,
that way you bring them in. You let them. I mean, they're alcoholics, so they can't just stop drinking. Right. You let them drink, and then you try to help them.
You know what's great about San Francisco is that you can live outside if you because the climate won't kill you.
I mean, although
most places the climate will kill you at least half of the year.
Although there are a lot of nights it's not Chicago, it's not Boston.
Chicago will kill you.
It's not New York,
right.
But there are some cold nights in San Francisco.
Yeah, but
rainy,
you know what?
cold nights, yeah.
That's when you go to the Mission and you hang out under a certain Jeff Cleary's stoop.
What's the homeless situation like in LA? Because you'd think that would be the ideal.
Yeah, you would think so,
the
right?
The climate is so
right.
nice.
No, I have a feeling that I have this impression in my head.
But they just all want to get into the business.
I just don't think that in LA they don't allow homeless people in certain areas.
Well, not unless you have an agent.
I have this impression in my
a good joke.
I have this impression in my head of young homeless people in Stockton and Modesto, staying up late and being you know what? No, someday we'll get to Haight Street. Yeah, Haight Street is the major leagues of homelessness.
Well, it's they gotta wait for one homeless guy to die before they take his place.
Yeah, or San Francisco, whatever.
Haight Street is for the travelers.
It's more of a Walnut Creek homeless.
You know the travelers, right?
What are the travelers? The Travelers Insurance Group?
Travelers are people, they call themselves travelers. They're basically
they're hobos.
They're modern day hobos. Do
you know what hobo stands for?
Have only boxes.
It's a
Ooga.
It's an abbreviation of homeward bound. It means you're trying to get back to where you're from. Hobo.
Woody Guthrie.
And they're big Simon and Garfunkel fans.
Yeah, they're all trying to get to Scarsborough Fair.
Yeah, they don't call themselves homeless. They call themselves travelers. They're on the road, right? But it seems like mostly they're children of affluence who have wandered off.
It's a choice.
Well, who knows?
It's homosexuality.
Who knows?
I will say that it's totally different if you're doing it to be an artist or a poet, and you're gonna jump boxcars and stuff and sing songs about it. Totally different than if you had no choice and this is what you have to do.
Well, if you look at those people, there's definitely it seems like they have minimal choice, right? most of them are just not. They can't function in society.
That is our segment on on social.
Well, you asked me about San Francisco.
No, it's true.
And that's a major issue.
Well, yeah, no, it totally is, and like I'm glad we touched upon that.
But let's go on to something more fun. Like whatever happened to Willie Brown?
Like what's up with that Holocaust? I know. So wait, let's talk about this bar. Okay?
Yes.
Let's get back to the bar.
Back on track.
Doug, you like this bar?
I used to love the Casanova.
I feel the same way. Like I used to love the Casanova, and I still really like it. But I used to love it.
But when I come on a Friday night and it's like, so packed that you can't even squeeze in, I'm not going to fight that crowd.
But Doug, don't you feel like that's virtually every bar in SF?
Well, right now it's perfect. It's like there's.
But right now it's really nice.
Yeah.
I like this bar.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like I said earlier. For me it's a night bar. Like because when you come in here during the day, you going into a cave. It's dark and it's like, but like right now the sun's gone down.
And the Casanova is like one of the
it's like scoping out a high school.
It's like one of the original
like if you do it during the day, it's creepy. But if you do it at night, it's all right.
It's like one of the original NFL teams. It's not an expansion team. It's like
This is so you're
the
saying
Browns
this is like the Cleveland Browns of bars.
Yeah, it is.
So what would be like the Cincinnati Bengals, the rawr tiger of bars?
The Detroit Lions. There's only so many original bars. They're the ones that were here first. Casanova, the Latin, Doc's Clock, the Uptown. These are the bars of the Mission that, set the, that were here first.
Set the stone, the 5.
Right. And Blondie's was the bar.
They set the bar, if you will.
Blondie's was the bar where all the Marina crew came when they went to the Mission.
Right, that's true. And you know what? None of that's changed. Like, if you go to Blondie's right now, it's still a Marina crew.
No.
Really?
Yeah. By the way, the corner market at 16th and Valencia supposedly got sold.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody's scrambling to find out what's going to go in there. Like, I'm sure it's not going to be a bar, but
What are you talking about?
Guy Fieri restaurant.
You know what?
The corner market?
No, the corner
16th of Valencia.
16th of Valencia.
Like directly across from the Czech fashion place. Like
the market.
Like the corner that contains Giordano's.
Like the old Latino market, the big one.
Oh, really?
Like that fucking huge Mexican grocery store.
Huge space.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
see now that's
a game changer possibly if it's a Disney store or something like that.
It's almost remarkable that it's still there.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say it's probably gonna become an expensive restaurant.
See, I'm gonna
see,
go.
That's such a like volatile corner, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna say that Adobe Books opens that fucking and it's an Adobe Books / Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
Adobe Books.
So many places have come and gone on 16th and Valencia, between Valencia and Guerrero. So many
and so many places have tried to go in, like the Jack Spade thing tried to go in, and the neighborhood fought it.
Take orders.
It's gonna be like a
take orders.
It's gonna be like
World's
a Julian.
worst.
It's gonna be like a Julian Casablancas Greek restaurant.
The military-themed breakfast place.
Yeah, Take Orders became Bitterroot, and Bitterroot became the Pork Store. And it's been Pork Store for a long time, which is a local
and what was that,
restaurant.
What was that other breakfast place that had all that
New Dawn.
New Dawn, yeah.
Ooh.
New Dawn became...
That's deep knowledge right there.
It had
That's
so
really
much
good.
junk in it. They just acquired more and more junk. It was the breakfast place where you get the 3-egg breakfast.
Yeah. New Dawn was like this breakfast place. It was basically like if John Waters was a hoarder. That's New Dawn because it's all this tacky shit everywhere. Like you gotta
but
eat
John
your
Waters with really bad taste.
Dump storage space for 6 months.
if you like eating your breakfast next to like a clown face or like
a rusted robot,
like a
Dolly
fucking-
Parton once shit on this toilet. Like,
Yeah.
hey, enjoy your eggs Benedict.
or a Ken doll with a head torn off. Like that's
it got
fine.
kind of junky at the end. Like they had that window that they would bring the food to, and you're just like, I don't know.
Well, that's like the place that used to be. That is now.
If you want to talk
Remember
about
Lock
old
Top?
San Francisco bars, what was
Yeah.
that place on Fell? The hotel.
Oh yes, the Casa Loma.
Oh, yeah.
Casa Loma. That was a classic.
That
Dude,
was a
I-
classic.
That was a classic. And I've actually talked about that place because like we had a mutual friend, Marsha Crane.
Right. Friend of the show. No.
Friend of the show, who insisted we go to Casa Loma all the time. And this was like 93.
She was
And
a bartender,
was like
though,
a
wasn't
junkie
she?
bar.
No, the thing is, like, yeah, if you were underage and you wanted to drink, you go to Casa Loma. Also, if you were of age and wanted to watch, like, young kids nod off on heroin, if, like,
While
that's what
stirring a Coke.
if that was your thing, you go to the Casa Loma.
You know what's crazy is that I have no idea. Like, if I were like 19 years old at this very minute, like I would have no idea where to go to drink in this. Like I have no concept of like, oh, that's a bar that like doesn't card.
Probably in the
Like,
Tenderloin. I think the Tenderloin
Yeah?
is starting to be the happening
If you're 19
area.
years old this very minute, I wouldn't know where to bring you.
yeah.
I mean, I got this fucking little kid around me.
I
went nowhere, by the way.
Chicken home.
all I would do is
I'd
like
just
think
say,
to
take me
myself,
to
I'm gonna
chicken
go
home.
fuck some.
Who are you, Barry Sobel?
I'm gonna go screw some 20-year-olds. That's all I would be thinking about. But
That's what I would do. If you were a 19-year-old at this moment, I
hold
would bring
on,
you to
hold
Barry
on.
Sobel.
Have we
I'd be
gone
like,
over?
have at it.
What's our limit? Have we gone over? I think time is.
Yeah, we're gonna
We're gonna
wrap it
We're
up.
gonna have to wrap it up pretty quick because the sponsor is starting to hemorrhage.
What the hell are
sponsor.
you talking
Who's
about?
the sponsor?
It's all yours.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, oh yeah, move that shit. All right, you want to
Yeah.
wrap this up?
Let's do it. Let's kill this.
You know what, like
I mean,
playing.
come on.
You know
You
what? Like,
gotta leave them wanting more.
I feel
They
feel
want
good
less
that-
right now.
No,
I
they
feel
want
good
more.
that this is
It's starting to happen.
a bonus episode full of extra content because we screwed around and didn't record an episode for a little while. So
Right. We're getting back into it.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to say about this bar is that it's very dark.
Yeah.
So, and I know people have probably said this about me as well. Like if you're on a date with somebody in here, or you meet somebody here, you're like, oh man, she's really attractive. And then you see them in the light of day, you're like, whoa, what happened to that? It's you. Like,
oh my God, she looks as bad as that velvet painting that I loved so much.
and I'm sure that's happened to me on the other side as well. But it's like, yeah, it's like dark enough where like I'm looking around here, I'm like, man, everybody looks like a model. And I know that can't be true.
Right? Oh my God, is that Brad Pitt? No, it wasn't.
No, it's fucking Omer.
All right.
I'd like to find out how why they named it Casanova.
Please do.
I don't know.
To be
To
continued.
be continued.
Oh,
All right,
really?
so Doug Norris, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for stopping by.
Are we using
next
his name?
time I'm gonna sing.
All right, that'd be totally fine with us.
All right.
He's not coming back.
No. Please.
Andrew, do you have any plugs or anything?
Impossible
Oh, you know what?
dream.
Like, I do have a couple of plugs. Let me look them up. Here we
Andrew,
go.
here we have some plug music.
Andrew's
I would
like-
something,
Andrew's
say
going to the
something.
iPad.
I would plug my show at the right spot on Sunday, but this is probably not going to go up in time. But I'm hosting a Sketchfest show on Sunday at the right spot with Trevor Hill and Anita Dreisberg and
I believe it's called Funny Shits. Is it not?
Funny Shits. I think Kate
Part
Willett's
of-
on
part
it
of
as well.
Sketchfest, right?
Part of
Yeah.
Sketchfest, yeah.
Look at you,
You
part of
should
Sketchfest.
have plugged that at the beginning.
It's not. I don't think it's going to go live. I think it's going to go live on
I'll
Monday.
be at the Empire State Building sometime in the future.
Yeah. You can see Doug performing at the bus stop men's room.
Hey now.
I want to promote something called "Don't Look Down," which is like a British television documentary about like people that like walk around on like high-rise buildings as they're being built for fun.
You know,
it's
okay.
like ridiculously stupid.
So
but
can I
it's
say,
great.
like,
That sounds horrible.
some of
I have nightmares about that kind of stuff.
But like the whole thing is filmed with like GoPro cameras, so like they're just like walking around with it on their head.
Well, so
Like-
is that all it is, or is it a real documentary where they interview people?
No, it is a real documentary, but like
Okay,
yeah.
because I feel like my favorite documentaries are the ones where like you go into it thinking like Spellbound, the one
Yeah.
about the spelling bee. Like you go into it thinking like I don't give a fuck about this, and then by the end you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe he got it wrong. Like something like it draws you in.
This like this is actually amazing in that
because
same
that sounds like
respect.
something I never would want to watch.
Because yeah,
but-
okay, so it's called Don't Look Down, and like this guy from like England who's like really into parkour and like bullshit like that, and like likes to jump around, and like but like he meets this crazy fucking idiot from the Ukraine, and like he's basically he's saying like everyone in the Ukraine doesn't really care if they live or die, so like they just like do all this bullshit and like put it online, and it's like all they do is like hang off of like 50-story buildings off of one hand and like screw around and film it. And so, like, the whole movie's sort of like about like those two meetings.
This whole thing is
It's really good.
young.
I
this whole
enjoyed
thing
it.
like smack of
And
sort of
Ukrainian.
like global
Yeah,
classism, where it's like, yeah, let the Ukrainians do this stupid
Oh, totally,
shit.
yeah, exactly.
It's like
But
they
it's
have
the
nothing
same
to
kind
live
of thing.
for.
Yeah. But it's like this like weird society where it's like, yeah, no one here cares whether we die, so who cares? Like like whatever. But
I'm not putting
It's all
my
about-
life on the
it's all
line.
about
Let those
it.
motherfuckers do it.
It's about experience. We got nothing. We got nothing to lose.
right,
Yeah.
there we go. Thanks, Janis Joplin.
Yeah. Is that your only plug?
That's it.
I
Ultimately suck.
thought I had a plug, but I can't remember it now. Oh, you know what? I have a
watch
plug.
Napoleon Dynamite again.
Oh, watching Napoleon Dynamite again.
It's hilarious.
I don't smoke pot that much, but like recently I was privy to smoking some pot and watching Star Trek Next Generation.
We don't want to hear about it. Hit the button. Come on.
I swear to
quick,
God.
quick.
I swear, it's the funniest thing in the world. Like if you're stoned and you're watching,
Make it so number 2.
Yeah, make it so, because everybody's so earnest in it. You watch Star Trek Next Generation while you're
Right.
stoned and make snarky
Gordy?
and make Geordi.
Oh.
And make snarky comments, because everything's so goddamn earnest on it that it's just like it's so easy to make fun of.
I have to say I really enjoyed
And we're done.
Jerry Seinfeld's web series, like driving in.
Driving with
that
Bobby.
good?
Or,
Yeah, getting.
Is that good?
Some of them are good, and like the one he did with Louis C.K. was really great, because like Louis C.K. admitted that like one of his like
He's like, I don't even like Jerry Seinfeld.
no, but like one of his like favorite things to do in the world is like when his daughters are away with their mother or whatever like that. Like he smokes a bunch of pot and goes to an IMAX 3D movie, and he's like that's like that's like my fun is that like I smoke a bunch of weed and like I have an Uber car pick me up and like I go to like a fucking like movie, and like the best part is like when the previews turn into the IMAX movie and it starts counting down like in 3D.
Yeah, and then he goes to Pink Floyd Laserium. What a douche.
Right.
Yeah, Louis C.K. paints a really terrible like depiction of like having a family, or it's like, oh my god,
I can't wait for them to leave.
No,
Oh my
at
God, as
least-
soon as my
at-
kids
at
are
least
gone-
he's honest about,
Yeah.
like, oh, God.
But as soon as my kids are gone, I'm gonna like do a couple bong hits, and I'm gonna go watch fucking like
Right.
Gladiator 3D or whatever.
God bless him. All right,
All right,
God
you're-
bless us all.
All right, you ready to go?
I am.
Okay, Doug, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm Jeff Clary,
I am Andrew Louder.
and we'll see you next time on the SF Barkast.